Welcome to my podcast, Chat with Loki. It's about sharing stories of grit, resilience, wisdom from unseen, unheard, everyday heroes of life. So he was teaching you and you're helping him.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you throw Canada in this discussion right now?
Canada. I went to
When
Canada.
did Canada happen?
After the last teacher training I worked on in Mexico.
So this is before. Now in Mexico?
Yeah, we did a training in Acapulco in Mexico.
Okay, sorry.
We did a training in Hawaii before that.
Queen Mary too.
No, sorry.
That finished. You got back here,
Yes.
and then you had a separation, and
No,
then
I didn't separate yet. I came
2
back
years
from
later.
the ship. I went to my teacher training in LA
yeah.
in 2005. And then I came back and I just kept doing the practice and
Here.
teaching in Australia. I was in
Yeah.
Melbourne at the time because my husband
Oh,
moved
Melbourne.
to Melbourne while I was on the ship. So then I went to Melbourne.
You know, right now, what image I had in my head? Do you see those TV shows where you have to find the killer? And then the investigator has this big canvas where he has to pinpoint where all
are
the
they?
strength. I don't know why that came into my head. Okay, so yes, now I'm getting the puzzle together. So you went to LA, did the training, and then got back here, but you started practicing in Melbourne because my first experience in 𝗙𝗶𝘁𝗵 was in Melbourne, in Southern Cross. There was
South Melbourne, you mean?
South Melbourne.
I used to teach there. Was
That-
I your teacher?
No. This is later. I did only once.
Okay.
I did only once. That was.
I like how you said I used to practice there, and then you said I only did one.
It was too hot. It was too hot. And
Excuses. The mind loves to make excuses when we want to change our lives. Hint, hint.
people were so into it. I felt like I was like, yeah, I didn't know. The energy was like, this is the, anyway.
It's a unique practice.
South Melbourne, it was 40 degrees or something. And normal yoga itself is challenging to twist and turn. And with 40 degrees, it was 100 times difficult. And then people were sweating. Anyway, it wasn't a pretty picture to look at others as well in that, and then it was smoky and...
Smoky, where's the smoke coming from?
I don't know, but maybe...
That's your illusion.
Yeah, my illusion, okay. So that was 2012, 2011, 2012 and 13.
Okay, yeah.
So that's the time. I remember going there and I did once and I said to when I got out, it was really refreshing and all that stuff, like drinking cold water and all that stuff. And I don't want to go through this again. For some reason, because I'm one of those people who, I do different things, but I did try that just to understand. So you're in Melbourne, and from Melbourne you went to Canada?
No, well, yes, from Melbourne I went
From
to Canada.
Melbourne to Canada. How long in Canada?
But I was in first Hawaii before Canada. We were running a teacher training there first. I used to go back to LA a lot
Okay, yeah.
to do work and help.
How
and to
long
serve.
How long in Hawaii?
We ran a teacher train there, so we're there for about 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
Three. By the time we set up the place, probably about 3.5 months.
Okay, 3 to 4 months there, and then Canada. How long?
Canada, I only ended up being there for 2 months or something because
Where
that's when
in
Bikram-
Canada?
I was in Vancouver.
Vancouver. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then I was going to stay 6 months, and then Bikram said, "You got to go to India and open the Indian studio
Okay.
in Bollywood,
Bollywood. So Mumbai.
Mumbai."
Jeez, now you're in Bollywood. Guys.
We were literally in Bollywood. All my students were Bollywood stars or directors or producers, and I said to them, "Now don't be playing this any like I'm a celebrity around me because I don't even know who you are." It was fun.
Nice.
It was fun. They were great. It was great. It was a great experience. But yeah, so India happened because of all just working on the trainings.
Canada, Melbourne, Sydney. Okay, they're all I can put them on one level of experience. India is a completely, that's another planet.
Yeah, it is another planet.
And Bollywood is another planet within a planet. What happened? How was your, how did you end up, what was your first experience of meeting, whoever the Bollywood famous figure? Or what was your first feeling of getting off the airport and going to wherever you went?
Well, before we go to the Bollywood, my first experience was I got off the plane and I know there was a fitness, because there was a fitness club that we were going to be also in, and there was all the Thai fitness group leaders. They were all coming together, but I was alone. And some guy met me. He was one of the operations managers. Anyway, he came and met me and said, okay, you're just going to sit there for an hour while we wait for the Thai group to come in.
Okay.
And I just remember people, I was white. I mean, blonde hair,
Yes.
People just staring at me.
Yeah, you're
like
a witch.
I'm just not talking about someone just looking at you. No, stare.
Yes.
Like half an hour. And I'm like,
yeah.
have you had enough look at? Hello, have you looked at me enough? No. People just staring at me. So I was a little bit, oh gosh, what have I done here? And then I remember the drive was hysterical. In India where you see, the families, and then there's like 5 of them on the motorbike, and then there's like a, old, what's that, computer drive, the old hard drive that's
yes.
big, and that's sitting between them. Or you've got a big truck and there's bricks that go up, 2 meters high, and then all the Indian ladies in their saris are sitting on top of the bricks, it was like, what is this place? And there was a van in front of us, and I just remember there's about 50 Indian men inside this tiny van poking their head out, waving at me. I'm thinking, what have I done? What have I done to move here, But I absolutely loved it. Bollywood stars. I met, one of the first stars that I met was Rani Mukherjee.
Rani Mukherjee.
Big star.
Rani Mukherjee is a.
I dated the Mukherjee. I've dated one of the Mukherjees.
Wow.
Yeah, I dated Samrat Mukherjee, cousin brother of Rani and Kajol.
Rani Mukherjee and Kajol are household names in India.
They are.
They ruled the Bollywood screen probably for more than 10 years. Which year you ended up there?
2008, when the terrorist attack happened, I was there.
It's their peak time as well. Those actresses were really in their peak time. Yeah. Oh yeah, so that's the
Taj, when the Taj got
and
bombed.
then there was a cafe as well.
Yeah, that was later, I think.
Later, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so 2008. So you land in India, and then there was a global financial crisis.
Yeah.
As well happened in
Everything
US.
was happening. It was all happening at once.
Wow.
Yeah. When it rains, it pours, as they say.
Yeah. So what was your feeling in that first 24 hours of different smell, different noise, different vibe, and then you see the contrast? Because I try to explain to people who hasn't been there, and I said not enough books and movies can capture this. The contrast between the rich and the poor, the contrast between spirituality and, like, for me, I always say India is the place of spirituality, regardless what people write about it. For me, I haven't experienced that level of spirituality anywhere I traveled.
There's such a diversity.
Yeah.
There's such a diversity. And my experience was that, there is just colour and vibrance everywhere.
Yeah.
Again, the spirituality, and you're hearing a multitude of different spiritual practices, because you've got the Muslim culture, you've got, the Jains, you've got all these different cultures, and so you hear the what's the Muslim, the prayer bell goes off, or whatever it's called, and you're hearing that at different times. I just loved it though. There was just this aliveness in Mumbai. They say it's the city that never sleeps.
Yeah.
I loved it. But then on the other hand, you've also then got the slums and the poverty.
Yes,
and I guess before I went, I had this image that there's going to be rich areas and poor areas, but no, they're all immersed with each other. And so you have these high-rise buildings, and then there's slums. Like look outside my bedroom, and there's a swamp.
Yep.
And then there's cows living living, like people just living in the barn with the cows, like it was just, and then the smell, you smell the sweet laddu and you smell the yummy sweets and then you smell cow dung, and you smell people's, urine and feces from the street. And during rainy season, you see it rotting. It sounds horrible, but there's this beauty to the place. There's this beautiful depth to it. I got pickpocketed. I had just everything possible happen that could happen. I learned a lot to be more streetwise. I'd read the book 𝗙𝗵𝘁𝗵. Do you know that book?
Yes. The guy in Goa got caught in drugs and all.
That was my reference for India. So I remember going on that. We had to go down to the because after the terrorist attack, this was after the terrorist attack, but after that they introduced this foreign kind of Indian type passport. So if you've got a visa to work, you've got to go down and get like this little passport. And so we had to go downtown to get that. And I remember on the train, we caught the train there, and the operations guy was with us. And I'd read 𝗙𝗵𝘁𝗵, now you're not going to get a seat on the train, so you've got to run and dive. And I just wasn't thinking, and I got on the train, I started running, and I dived and I threw myself in the air, and I landed on the seat, and everyone said, what the hell is this white woman doing? And then I just realised what I'd done. I was like, no, it's just 𝗙𝗵𝘁𝗵. He said, you got to dive for the seats.
You took it literally, yeah.
But all the dogs, like everything that he talked about in that book, it actually was a really great reference for me, because I was like, oh, I remember him talking about that. Oh, yeah, and that too. My experience was just, there's moments where I think you feel every single emotion to the absolute extreme. Like there was moments where rickshaw drivers were ripping me off or this and that, and I'd be like, just so angry,
Yeah.
And then I learned to speak Hindi and I was able to communicate better to them, But you go through that, and then there's moments where you just absolutely love everything, One day I was in the rickshaw and this little girl just threw this flower to me, and there was this beautiful lady, a little girl called 𝗙𝗵𝘁𝗵𝘁𝗵. And on my trip to work every day, her family lived in a tent, or like a tarpaulin.
Yeah.
And she was the happiest girl I'd ever seen.
Wow.
She had her feet were disgusting. She had ripped clothes, but she had this bright eyes, and she just big smile every day. She said, Didi. Didi is sister, as you know.
Yeah.
Didi. And sometimes she'd bring the finger up like $1 Didi, like Didi. And every day she'd come and the rickshaw would stop and she'd place her hands on my feet in respect. Didi. And I just started to give that family like rice and, vegetables and sometimes a little gift,
Just the basic.
I just felt so good to be able to give to them.
Yeah.
Because you also see a lot of... unfortunately, there's a lot of trafficking of children.
Yes.
And if you give money, often that money that they're begging for is to go to the traffickers. So I never gave money. I always used to give food and go to their families. But, I really saw these people living in just total squalor, and yet they're peaceful. They're happy. And I'm not saying everyone was.
No, but yeah.
There was a lot of elements of that though, and it just really struck me. Like, wow, Bikram used to say, first world problem, there is no problem. We create problem,
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of that. India's a special place to me. It was my second home. People used to say to me, you're more Indian than the Indians. I loved it. I cried so much when I had to leave.
Yeah.
It was really challenging to leave. I found it hard to actually integrate back into the West.
Yeah, it's
people take things for granted so much.
It's so difficult to integrate, because the last place you expect joy and peace is where you find in India.
Yeah.
No riches, no show off, nothing, and it's just pure joy with simplistic things happening in front of you, and people don't even realize that.
Yeah.
It's that my experience of travel around India is I did a kind of a road trip for 5 or 6 states. The generosity of people who have nothing is willing to give everything.
It's so true.
And for me, I don't experience that. You go to other places, you do get certain things, but when you have nothing, you don't have anything, money or anything for your next day food, and they're willing to give you what they got or everything. Sometimes it's like, take it, it's okay, all good.
And the pride You know, they took such pride. You know, people might think, oh, they live in a slum. I got invited to quite a lot of slum homes through the work and everyone, and, you know, because we had different levels of staff that worked there. We had, you know, unfortunately the servants, you know, it is that servant, that's part of their society.
Yeah.
And so I got invited to a lot of slums, and the pride in their homes and the care that they took about their home. And like you said, they would just offer you everything. And so it was, you know, I was very careful to not offend because it's such a big thing for them to want to give, you know?
Yes.
It was, it was just so special. And the number of mothers, like my cookbook, the number of recipes that I got from these wonderful, and I always say, can I please use this in my book that I'm writing? You know, and I always reference them, you know, this beautiful trip that I had everywhere, Rajasthan, everywhere when I travelled, and they would invite me and they'd teach me a dish, you know?
So tell a little bit about this Indian mother, or the mother who adopted you. That's the language you used. So what is the connection, why she saw you as a daughter and why you see her as the mother?
The first time, so she's actually my ex-boyfriend Samrat's mother. Her name is 𝗙𝗵𝘁𝗵 𝗪𝗶𝘁𝗵𝗟.
Okay.
I met her when we first got to India, and I went to dinner with her and Bikram's niece and two of my other teachers that were teaching, because I was the manager of the studio.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there was just this connection straight away.
Yeah.
She said, she's so sweet about me. She's so sweet. And I wore Indian clothes. I always wanted to respect the culture, and I wore Indian clothes, and I loved it anyway. I love sparkly, woo-hoo. So I loved it. So we just had this connection. And then, you know, she started coming to the class, the Bikram yoga class. And then, you know, obviously, you know, the family really took care of us because we were new to India.
Yeah.
And so they took care of us. And so we were always meeting and they're taking us places and just always coming over and dropping us. You know, there was just this natural flow happening.
Yeah.
And then, you know, once I started dating her son, I guess she really wanted to get to know me.
Yeah.
And so she really took the time to get to know me.
Nice.
And I was nervous because I was scared. Again, there's my primary question coming up. What if I get it wrong? You know, that was an underlying driving, oh my God, she's not going to like me. I'm not going to be enough. Like all that was always there for me. But more and more I got to know her. And I know she tested me quite a lot. She would test me. That's the Indian mother, right?
Indian mother.
She would test me. And then one day she said to me, you are so strong. You are so strong. And she'd say, you are amazing. She'd say, you're a gem. And anyway, I had this friend in Canada who I'd met. She was on the teacher training that I'd worked on in Acapulco. And then I'd spent a lot of time with her in Canada when we were teaching together. And she was a little bit, whether you want to call psychic, whatever, you know, we're all intuitive.
Yes.
If we shut it down, well, then we're not. But we have the potential,
Yeah.
right? We all have potential to connect. And so she said to me one day, I just keep getting this vision that she is your mother in a last life. And she said, one day she's going to tell you this. Anyway, that just, you know, whatever, it was just the words she said. And we just kept getting to know each other more and more and more. And she just would buy me saris and, you know, just love spending time with me. She had this little school, you know, they're Bollywood stars. They've got money, they own a film studio. And yet she had this school where she would help kids that didn't have as much money, and she'd teach them school. And she still has that school now. And, you know, like, she's a giver.
Yeah.
And I just would sometimes go and sit with her in the school and we'd just talk and chat.
Yeah.
And then one day she said to me, you know, I think I'm your mother in a last life. We have a connection. We have a special bond, you and me. And she still calls me her mother. I called her mother in my book. And it was her birthday 2 days ago. I just spoke to her. You know, I speak to her all the time. Every day.
Nice, yeah.
You know, and she taught me how a mother can treat you. I mean, because I'm connecting with my own mum, I don't want to be like, oh, my mum is so bad. I really don't want that to come across.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that need met at the time, you know. And she just gave me this. She was mothery.
Yeah,
she made me feel like I was. She took care. She would make sure you do this and, you know, have your potato. Like, she was just so cute, you know. She took care of me like a mother.
Did you think the feeling was similar to the safety and security you felt?
Different.
It's different.
Different. This was
nurturing?
sacred. It was nurturing and sacred. It felt very sacred. I just felt we could sit sometimes and not even speak.
Nice.
And I think that's a real gift in a relationship. If you can sit and not speak, it's not always about the words. It's about what's said in the silence. When I studied acting, we call it supplementary actions. It's what we do without the speech that's actually the most potent.
Yeah.
And that was her. We could just sit, and I tried to learn. She speaks Bengali and Hindi, but I was learning Hindi. I learned a little bit Bengali, Bengali.
Wow, okay. Wow.
I'm into 𝗙𝗵𝘁𝗵𝘃𝗗𝗏. Do you can't speak? Do you speak Hindi?
I understand Hindi and I can speak the basics.
Aapka Hindi bol sakti hai? I know more than you. But yeah, back to the conversation. No, she just was very nurturing. I felt loved with her. I used to touch her feet when I met her. Every time I'd meet her, and
Can you please explain? Because I do notice this in India a lot. There's a lot spoken in silence.
Yeah.
There could be 10 people in the room, and no one's talking to each other, but everyone understands everyone's needs.
It's wobble your head. You understand?
It's like So basically, it's
there's a language in that head wobble. I came to learn.
Yes, yeah. It's so the mother knows, the father knows, the siblings knows, and suddenly no one's asking anything, and the movement happens. And then you haven't even asked, I need fruit or whatever it is, and suddenly it's I don't know, but it happens in silence. Since you mentioned it, I have experienced it a lot. I don't need to ask a lot of things when I'm in India. It just simply appears. I'm hungry. I don't need to say I'm hungry. And people notice that this guy at this time would be hungry.
Are you sure it's not just because they always offer you food?
No.
Always eat.
Yeah,
eat,
that's.
eat. Oh my God, I have to eat again.
It's not just the food. I'm talking about other things as well, like pickups, drop-offs, and calling this or doing that, and all those things. What's your experience of communicating in silence? Like you said, you can sit and not speak, but feel sacred. What does that mean?
There's just a comfort. There's just a knowingness in who each other are, and there's a respect in who each other are, and there's it's just the I don't know. It's hard to put into words. It's just that connection. It's just a comfortable. It's just a. Like, why do we have to always speak?
The oneness.
Yeah, that's probably part. Yeah, it's hard to put into words, but it's just this oneness. We're just here.
Yes.
We're just here.
That's the only word I could think of. Yeah, it's hard to explain. Yeah.
We're just right here in this moment. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, you're comfortable.
We don't have to be showing who we are. We don't have to be impressing, or we don't have to be doing anything. Or it's just we're just here.
Okay.
Like, that's the sacredness of the moment. We're just here.
So tell me about your actual job there.
Yeah, I did work.
Did you even work? How was your interaction with Bollywood stars, and what are the challenges? And when you look back, what kind of impact you think you made to your clients, which are Bollywood stars? Bollywood stars are looked up by millions in India.
Yeah. You know how I think I impacted them the most? Remember I said earlier that I said to them, don't bring in this celebrity status with me because I don't care about that stuff.
Yeah.
I gave them a place to be themselves.
Wow, okay.
They didn't have to be a Bollywood star in my class. I don't care. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know who you are in that moment when that posture's challenging you. How do you deal with that?
Okay.
Are you able to be calm? Are you able to breathe? Are you able to find stillness?
Yeah.
I don't care what your background is. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care.
So
I think I gave them that, and I would make sure the other teachers didn't harass. We did have an Indian teacher that came for a while, and all she wanted to do was talk to the Bollywood stars. I said, no. They're not coming here for you to go, ah.
Yeah.
No, they're coming here for their practice.
Yeah.
You don't ask them questions like that. You just talk, let them speak.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things I gave them.
So they felt
and their bodies.
Safe space.
They loved their bodies.
No, that was
oh my God, that was my
body's
good.
That's my next question.
That's the more superficial part of it, obviously, but
No. One of the key things in Bollywood movies or any Indian movies is for any famous actor or actress, you need to dance.
Yeah.
You got to dance, whether you don't, whether you like it or don't like it. They will have 5 to 6 songs. So was there any challenges for some of them who would have, you don't need to name them, but who would probably say that, oh, I'm preparing for this role, I need to be more flexible with my body? Or is it anything? What I'm trying to say is there is personal piece to taking care and all those things, which is understandable. But then their professional life, there's demands you got to do. Did you face that as well?
Yeah, a little bit. Like they'd come more regularly when they had something coming up, they wanted to lose weight or whatever, that kind of thing, really. We had a student, she became one of my friends, I love it. But she'd go, I'm having trouble coming to the class because I have to get my hair done and I have to look good for my photo shoots, and then I have to do my hair all over again when I do this yoga because it makes me sweaty. Like that was that was her challenge with it, I don't know, like I'm just thinking of their faces right now. I mean, it wasn't just Bollywood stars. There was a lot of middle class as well. But yeah, no, I think it's more, a lot of it was just their challenge, like having to get fit for a role or, look good for the role or, and there's always that image attached to it, So I guess they come in with that. But I would try to say to them, just let all that go.
Yeah.
Be here because you love it. Be here because you want to be here for yourself, and all the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah. No, it's a big thing.
It's the inner work for the outer work,
It's a big thing in India because any celebrity, not just celebrity, anyone this won't get privacy. No privacy, and as a celebrity, zero privacy.
Yeah.
And then you giving that space to say that I'm not here as a celebrity itself is a big. It's a big message.
Yeah. I had people come in sometimes and be like, don't you know who I am? I said, no, I don't. And then I'd be on the plane on the way home for a holiday and I'd be watching the Bollywood movies. Oh my God, that's my student, that's my student, that's my student. Oh my God, you are actually famous. Oh wow.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's the big famous, 𝗙𝗶𝘁𝗵 and 𝗙𝗵Practitioner Roshan and these guys. Obviously those guys, when they came, but
Yeah. Now the names you're saying, they are followed by at least 100 million people. This, like right now. Hrithik Roshan is called as a Greek god in India.
That's my second husband. They used to say, that's your second husband coming.
And
he's good looking, that one. Ooh.
Yeah. And this guy has 6 fingers.
What?
He has an extra finger here.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I never noticed this.
Normally he used to wear gloves and all those things, but now I think 10 years ago he changed it. He said like, I don't need to hide anything, kind of thing.
That's great. That's a big message to send down, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stigma.
Like I noticed
in India, even with it disabled and, there's a lot of stigma around that. Well, there was when I was living there.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful.
And also he has gone through divorce and, he didn't have the perfect life kind of thing.
Well, the thing is too, there has to be the image is the perfect life, and I think that's relatable to every human being in many circles.
Yeah.
The image that we have to portray, goes back to even when we're talking about the trauma and in our families, and we've got to portray this image that everything's wonderful.
Yeah.
So there was that for people,
Yeah. No, it's wow. It's not many would have this opportunity and experience to interact, not just interact, to be the teacher for someone who is being adored by millions, 50 to 100 million people. And Kajol and Rani Mukherjee, I watched pretty much all of their hit movies, and even today their songs are like, used in social media and everything. So how long you stayed there?
Back and forth, about 7 years.
7 years, almost until 2015.
Oh, hang on. So 2008, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, I'm a liar. It's 5 years. But I was still with my ex for the 2 years after. Yeah. That's why in my brain I'm thinking that because I went back. But yeah, 5 years. 5 years I was back
If you can summarize that 5 years, what's your experience professionally and personally?
Life-changing. It was one of the most biggest growth periods of my life.
In what area?
More personal, I think, than
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it was challenging also dating an Indian man,
Yeah.
being a Westerner,
Yeah.
and also an Indian man. I mean, he wasn't famous, but he was definitely in movies.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
He was more well known in Calcutta.
Okay. That's where artistic and creative movies come.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not commercial, but artistic and creative. Yeah.
So yeah, I think personally, and also that was, you know, I mean, it's a challenging topic for me to talk about, but that's when there was some problems with Bikram and I.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we went through our,
Okay.
there was just challenges with that man. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
gift as a teacher, he sees you. You know, there was just also a breakdown in the relationship.
Yeah.
Due to various different things.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, some of which are out there
Yeah.
in the world, public eye. But that taught me, I was a bit of a yes woman. You know, that's the people pleaser. That's the trauma, showing up. Say yes, do everything, to be pleased, to be liked, to be accepted. And the breakdown of that relationship, we're great now. I mean, I don't talk to him that much, but we've had a healing.
Yeah.
But the breakdown of that relationship for me, just like I had PTSD. I was really distraught because he was like a father figure. Yet from that, I stood in my own power. I learnt to stand in my own power and speak my own truth in a very different way than I've ever had before. And that's the gift he gave me in all that situation.
Yeah.
You know, I had to go within to find I kind of was almost not blacklisted from the community. I still got work, but a lot of people, because we'd gone like that.
Yeah.
You know, everyone goes like that. That's the, what do you want to call it, a cult, whether you want to call it a community, someone at the top.
Yeah.
You know, that's the challenge of the old school of way of running a business, so to speak. You know, someone's at the top, I'm the boss.
Yeah.
You know, whereas now things are changing.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their role.
Yeah.
Everyone plays their important role. And so, you know, within that community, there was a lot of pushing and rejecting of people if they weren't on Bikram's side. So I went through that too. And so I had to dig deep.
Yeah.
I had to dig deep in myself and really find my inner strength again, you know. And so that's the gift. That's actually the biggest gift. And 10 years to the day that he said you have to leave, he invited me back to Mexico, and I went back and lectured at the teacher training and taught at the teacher training, and we had a very beautiful healing.
Okay.
It was really special.
So that's your departure from Bikram, and that's where also the India and all this travel through Bikram has stopped.
Yeah.
And now what? You're back in Sydney?
Yeah, I still travelled a little bit because after that I came back, and that's when I studied naturopathic medicine.
Yeah.
Like again, it's like, okay, slight career change, but not really, because it's all the holistic.
Yeah.
I'm very holistic. I'm not just like, let's do
that.
No,
I'm going to ask about that because, you know, you did mention a lot of things. And first I want to understand what each one is.
Yeah,
but before that, I want to come back to your timeline, because you took me to Mexico, Canada, Singapore, Hawaii in the middle, and then India, and then, you know, there's other countries you travel when you're in performing arts. So you're back in Sydney after this?
I was back in Brisbane because after all that happened, because I had split up with my husband, right?
Yes.
I came home, and actually, while I was living in India, I came back and we settled the divorce.
Yeah.
So then after I had to leave, I was like, oh my God, Melbourne's not really my home.
Yeah.
Where do I go? And because I was really struggling, so I went home to my family after 20 years, and I lived in Brisbane with my family. And that had its own challenges. All of a sudden, you know, you've left, and all of a sudden you're back and you're the child again. Like, you're the child, you know, that you're seen as the child in the house. I really struggled with that. But it was a learning for all of us to adjust with each other again, like I'm not a child. So,
How
and then
long
also,
you stayed?
I stayed 5 years.
Okay.
Only because I studied naturopathy and nutrition. So I did finish that degree. And then I moved back to Sydney after that, and I've been here since. But, I mean, I've done retreats and stuff.
When did you move back to Sydney?
2015. So my book got published. That was the year I moved back to Sydney after my book was published.
That's your 40s, early.
Yeah, 40s, yeah.
So it's another 10 years change.
Yeah.
Now I'm just looking at your 10-year changes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, we'll just let the world know in
There'll be another one.
Yeah. just yeah. You got this beautiful and intense journey.
Yeah.
And you said it impacted whatever you have gone through at your childhood, in your relationships.
Yeah.
How did it impact? Were you running away, or what is it? What do you mean by it impacted me in the past ones?
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is I don't run away. I put up with a lot. I'm very loyal. And in that loyalty, I'll stay and stay and stay.
Even if it's hurting you?
Even when it's hurting me. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm working on now for my next relationship before I get into it. Yeah, I was, look, there's two sides to all stories.
Of course.
And the more I've healed, the more I look at where I also showed up in those relationships. I showed up as a wounded child. I showed up as a wounded person.
Yeah.
I was a very poor communicator. Very poor communicator, I didn't know how to express my needs. I'd act out, play out, I didn't like what happened. I'd cause a fight or, not every time, but, but there was also a lot of mistreatment. I was attracting similar situations where I was mistreated and I wasn't treated with respect.
Yeah.
So there's two sides. We come with our own wounds. And if those wounds aren't healed, the relationship is impacted by that,
It's something, my personal question. There's a lot of people who go on this journey of healing, doing courses, coaching, and all those things. They're so influential in transforming other people. But when it comes to their own life, why it's a challenge? I'm going to ask this in a different way as well. We have support workers.
Yeah.
They go and deal with trauma and change a lot of things, but they themselves go through that. Personally, I don't know anyone, but I know some stats where people who go and talk about domestic violence, saying no and against all those things, when they go home, they're facing the same, but they're not telling anyone. So you see where its question is coming from. What do you think is happening?
There's two sides there. So, first of all, there's different situations with this, I think. So one situation is where people don't walk their talk, right? And so they'll go and preach and do all this stuff, but they're not doing the inner work themselves.
Yeah.
And then there's another situation where there's the wounded healer. And the wounded healer.
The wounded healer.
The wounded healer is the person that has had the wounds, worked on the wounds, and then they become the healer.
Yeah.
And I think the journey doesn't stop. You don't go and do, I'm going to do 5 sessions of therapy and I am fixed. It's a continuum. And there's a thing called transference and there's a thing called counter-transference, right? Transference is the client will often put their projection onto the therapist, practitioner, healer, whatever, and it can happen vice versa. So this is, why you have to also always do your work on yourself. And we have supervisors as psychotherapists and psychologists because stuff will come up.
Yeah.
So, that can show up in that way. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Is the wounded healer not healed yet?
I think it's a hard conversation because I think there's always, I believe, this is my belief, whether it's true or not, my understanding is that we come here on a soul's mission, a personal mission of what we're going to work on as souls, and we have contracts with people along the way. And I believe, look at where I am now. I'm like I'm at the point where I'm feeling like I'm not coming from that wounded place now. But there might be moments where there might be still a thread.
Yeah, right.
If you think of so if you think of, that's the core situation and there's tentacles.
Yeah.
So you might really have worked on that core situation, but sometimes there might be a tentacle that shows up.
So there's still some residue.
Yeah, because I think there's so many facets and layers. Like it's a kaleidoscope of different emotions. One thing happens, it's not just I feel hatred or I feel resentment. There's as an actor, this is what we also learnt, human being, we studied psychology for a year as acting training to understand this. You don't just feel one emotion. And actors that do portray one emotion, when you see bad actors, that's what a bad actor is. They're just showing one level of emotion.
Yeah.
When an actor, a really good actor like Judi Dench, really, they've got layers. You're seeing like sadness, but you're seeing anger, but you're seeing fear, but you're seeing hope, but you're seeing, that's the kaleidoscope of humans. That's what we are. We're not one dimensional. We've got all this stuff. And so I think you might work on that bit and then that bit and then that bit, but there's, I don't know, I think if that's your journey of being in life, maybe there's going to always be something, but you get to a point where you're not coming from that wounded place in everywhere you show up. Does that make sense? It's
yes.
Again, sometimes it's hard to put into tangible human Western words.
Can human beings be healed? I'm asking in a different way.
Do I even know the answer to this?
No.
I believe that we can be healed to the point where we're able to have great relationships. We're able to really build a beautiful life for ourselves. I think there is just so much challenge in the world.
Yeah.
That it's a constant journey to be able to get yourself into that regulated nervous system state where you don't get triggered, where you don't react. Because I think that, I don't know. I always feel like I do kahuna. And kahuna is a transpersonal bodywork based on Hawaiian massage. And you can go into a real transpersonal space, which is like an altered state, right? Like, people do breath work. It's altered state. And in that state, I got a very strong message one day that sometimes the core wound is being separated from spirit, like when we come to earth.
Yeah.
And that wound is always being healed. I don't know. It's a hard question to answer.
It's okay. I
think of an egg,
yeah,
right? There's
yeah.
an egg, and we're inside the egg, and it's dark.
Yeah.
And then we poke a little hole, and there's a light coming in.
Yeah.
Right? Rumi says the light is where the wound is where the light enters, right?
Yes. That's Rumi.
So there's that little light that comes in, and I think the more holes we poke, every little bit of work we do, sometimes relationships, the people are so kind to us, and that heals us. Love heals us. So I think there's all these little holes that get poked. This is my very simple way of explaining it. And then there's more light.
Yeah.
And so then there's this more enjoyable, loving life, but maybe there's still a few dark spots there or there. We all have a shadow side. We all have a shadow. So
I think you answered with that Rumi's quote. Where there's a wound, that's where the light enters. Where there's a crack, that's where, opportunity is also for growth. So the reason why I'm asking is we're talking about intergenerational trauma, and then also you mentioned about the body holds the wound. And stuff. Yes, you mentioned some techniques and all those things which you tell your clients. Is there a hope for individuals to not completely heal, but at least give less of that to the next generation?
Yes, 100%. If you do the work. It doesn't just happen by doing nothing.
So this work is not just about yourself. It's also about the next generation.
That's right.
The platform you're giving them.
That's right.
As a father, as a mother, as an uncle, as a whatever it is. If you do some shitty things, of course, it's going to impact the next generation.
Yeah. But even the best parents.
Yeah.
Even the best parents make mistakes.
Have to.
That's the learning.
Yes.
That's the learning. There's a process in it,
Yeah.
It's the learning. So I think even though you might have, even when you've done so much work on yourself and been, trying to do the parenting course or this or that, I think there's still going to be aspect, because it's your emotional reality for the child too. Like I said, two people can have a situation that happens.
Yeah.
One child will have that impact and the other child will have that impact. Sometimes they have different stories around what's happened. That's emotional reality, right?
Yeah.
And we give things meaning. Like that's the meaning they gave it. So I think it's rewiring all of that. And I do think it's possible that you can do the best you can and still have you can still, be an amazing parent or whatever in that next generation. But then there will be still parts of what you do or say or frustrations that might come out and snap at the child that'll hurt them. And then they'll have that to work with. But can you perhaps prevent, say, domestic violence like you're saying? Yes, I do believe that. where you don't act in that same way that your parents act. You know,
Yeah.
like I mean, look at with me with the eating disorder versus with the alcoholism. You know, there's that correlation. That was my way of playing out that I wasn't an alcoholic, but I became a binge eater.
Yeah.
And I've done so much work on that. You know.
Can you speak to the speaker, please?
Sorry.
I want my audience to listen.
Oh, sure.
We're talking something important. You're going backwards.
Yes, boss.
Thank you. So that question was, so basically what you're saying is, yes, there are people who are coaches who are doing so great for others, but when it comes to themselves, it's a different journey they have to go through. It's not because I am this, it means my personal life also need to be this. But isn't there where the validation really comes in from an external perception? And a few examples is there's a lot of gurus, a lot of saints, a lot of priests. All of them did one thing, which really has created a generational trauma, is sexual assault for kids. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's something the kids haven't. It's one of those things where it's like it hasn't been discussed, it hasn't been talked about, but it happened on a wide scale from the authority of so-called divine or so-called whatever it is. So how can people, like I am into faith, I'm into religion and all those things, but because I do see good apples and bad apples, but the bad apples has created intergenerational trauma, especially on sexual assaults. That can be healed as well.
If they're willing to go into their own stuff and look at it, Yeah.
Because...
but it's a big rebuilding of the self. Because the children that come from that often feel that they're broken. They often feel shame, like it's my fault. You know, all that stuff that you see. And so it's a rebuilding of them, their self-esteem. You know, and it's not just through talk therapy. It's not just through talking. It's the having people that care about them. It's learning how to regulate their own nervous system. It's teaching them boundaries so they can say no, so they can... You know, there's so many components to that. But when I was one of those people, and I mean, look, I don't have children, so I'd hope to feel that my amount of healing that I've done in the last 30 years wouldn't play out in that with a child. But I don't really believe it would, but because I've done so much work on it. But I do believe that I'm a testament of changing the patterning that was going on in my own family, in my own household. And I'm using that work, I'm using my own suffering. Again, it's another Rumi quote. I love Rumi. One day your pain will become the cure.
Nice.
Right? And so I like to think that going back to that wounded healer, the pain that you've gone through and the healing that you've had to do, because it's not easy. Looking at your pain and having to relive it and experience it and go through it so that you can let it go is not a fun rainbows and unicorn ride. No. It can be really painful and you can feel really alone in it. When you do it though, again, it's that potato gets thrown off and there's a lightness and there's a joy and there's all this that drives you to keep going. And then at the end of that, I think you're able to then be able to care for others in a very empathetic way.
Yes.
Not saying that you have to just feel sorry for people. Oh, poor baby. It's like, no, I'm going to hold you in space in this.
Yeah, you give that safety and
And I'm going to stand there. You know, 𝗵𝗁𝗪𝗏. I don't know if you know her poem, 𝗵𝗁𝗪𝗏. It's called The Invitation. Oh, I love it. She says, I'm just paraphrasing right now, but it's basically along the lines of, you know, can you sit in my own pain? Can you sit in pain, yours and mine, without having to change it or move it? That's the real holding of space, right? That allows someone to heal, allowing them to go through whatever it is they do. You know, when I run my retreats, like some of these people just have these screaming, like they just, you know, we do a ritual in shamanic medicine where they have a rock and they get to scream it out, you know, and just holding something. You're not trying to fix it. Because a lot of people try to shut people down if they're crying. Don't cry. No, that's them needing to just express it. Can you hold them in that?
Yeah.
When they're having that fit of rage or crying or whatever it is, can you just sit with them?
Yeah.
You don't have to change it. You don't have to do anything. Let them be with them.
Yeah.
Even in that, there's massive change for that person. Because, you know, as I said, issues in the tissues, they're able to express it, release it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's somatic. That's the somatic work. The soma is the body, right? Everything's stored in the body. So when we do this somatic work and stuff, that can help people to release pent-up stuff from years.
Yeah.
Oh, and then they can breathe again. You know?
There's so many people out there who has gone through sex abuse when they were kids, both boys and girls. And they're still living through it. They haven't spoken to anyone. They haven't expressed. They're all in relationships. They all have kids. Not all, but majority. What is your message to them?
Go on. Oh, sorry, you go.
Message to the ones who are already, having kids versus the ones who couldn't even dare to go back and, start life.
My message is please go and work on your wounds so that you don't hurt somebody else.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're not alone. There are thousands, and it's very unfortunate. It's very sad that there are thousands and thousands and probably even millions of people.
Millions easy, yeah.
Millions. I mean, there's, you could look at all the trafficking stuff that's going on,
Yes.
even in the administration in the US right now, and that's been coming to light. And, it's our responsibility.
Yeah.
It's our responsibility to look at it, no matter how painful it is. And I'm not saying you have to sit there and remember everything and sit there for 4 hours and have to feel all this horrendous stuff. It's little snippets at a time you work through stuff, But work through it. Speak to someone about it.
Is it the first step to tell your inner child that it wasn't your fault?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times there is that guilt and fault and lack of trust or trust broken and all those things. That's the first step, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, like you spoke about trust. That's the thing too. It can be challenging for them to find someone to trust.
Yeah.
That takes time. That has to be built little bit by little bit. And that's where the trauma-informed work comes in,
Yeah.
We understand more and more. I'm a deep diver. I love to dive deep. I'll go into my healing. My teacher always says to me, you don't have an edge, you just go into it.
Yeah.
Because I was so desperate to heal that's what I would do. But not everyone's at that space. And that's the trauma-informed work, is titration, pendulation, just going slowly, little bit by little when they're ready.
Yeah.
And yes, there's also sometimes you got to push them over the edge, not over the edge, push them to the edge a little bit, but hold them in that safety so they can feel safe, like I've got you.
Yeah.
Because you do have to sometimes push those boundaries so that you can open, but not to the point where you're pushing through the edge and forcing.
Yeah.
And I think there's, you see different coaches doing different things with that. Some people are like, no, they should go deep or go home. It's like, that's not safe for some people. You're going to re-traumatize them. But then also you see, if you oh yeah, it's okay, don't worry, do nothing, that's not going to help them either. They do have to sometimes go to those little edges. And in process work psychotherapy, that's what we talk about. We're helping people cross the edge.
Yeah.
They're going from that old identity to that secondary identity.
So you're breaking their own boundaries.
That's right. But very, very slowly for some people.
Subtle.
When there's a lot of trauma, that's what they need.
Yeah, yeah.
And I look back, even though I'm a deep diver, I looked back because I did a lot of exploration of this with my supervisor for my psych degree, because she was like, oh yeah, you're a bit of a go-getter. And I'm like, yeah, that's my energy. And I really learned a lot about the trauma-informed work during that degree. And she said to me, yeah, sometimes just pulling back and holding is enough for that person.
Yeah.
And then they'll feel safe with you. Because you've got to create that container, I was going to say something else, but it's gone out of my mind now. But yeah.
Now tell me all the things you did. Okay. You're an author.
A lot.
You're an author. It's the book is what? The Joy of
So
Food.
there's 2 books. One is my own. It's called The Joy of Real Food.
Joy of Real Food.
And that's my journey of my eating disorder. And then there's also a lot of recipes because I found a way to. I was scared of food. I was scared of being in the kitchen. So that book's around that. And then I have another book that's a co-authored book, and it's called Within. That came out a couple of years ago.
So it's called Within.
Yeah, it's called Within, and that's it's 26 stories of our yoga journey. So it's our yoga community. Some of us that wrote a book just to talk about the community, what we came from, and how the yoga helped us.
26 individual stories.
Yeah, 26 and 2. Because there's 26 and 2 postures in Bikram yoga. So we had 26 stories plus 2. So there's really 28 stories.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another book. And then.
So one is about recipes for healthy eating.
Yeah.
Does that lean into
mindsets in that as well? There's a lot of mindset and talks about yoga as well. That's my first book, The Joy of Real Food.
Joy of Real Food. Does that lean towards any cultural food, or it's mix of everything?
It's all over because I've lived all over the world.
That's why I was curious.
I had studied raw food, so there are a lot of raw recipes in there. There is some cooked stuff, but there was a lot of raw recipes. I was very inspired by the raw at the time.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of, I love raw food in that it can create the unhealthy dishes in a very healthy way.
It's like we go to Woolies and Coles and it says the healthy drink. The other day I saw
I'm not
the
healthy. About
that. and no, it actually said the healthy juice or something, and I looked, it was 0.5%. Anyway.
Read your labels. Anything in a package, really. Processed food. No, stay away.
So is it simple to follow your book?
Yeah.
For someone who is not a cook?
Yeah, I find it is. There's I use a lot of spices, and a lot of herbs and stuff. So it looks like there's a lot of ingredients, but they're very simple. Some dishes are a little more, some of the desserts are a little more like.
There's desserts as well.
Yeah, of course. Okay. But yeah, it's fairly simple.
Meat and non-meat dishes.
There's no meat in that book.
Zero meat. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, that's the part. No meat in that dish.
For all the
I have a detox program that has meat, but that one doesn't.
Okay, sorry for steak
Sorry,
lovers.
I'm getting a cramp in my foot.
Yeah. You need some water?
Yeah, I just get to move my foot because I got a little cramp.
Oh.
Sorry.
It's okay. Just.
Hopefully, all right. Can I move back from the microphone for a second?
So basically, while you're doing that, I'll keep talking.
Yeah, you keep talking.
So the joy of food.
Real food.
Real food, not just food. The joy of real food.
Yeah.
By, when did that come? That's your first book.
Yeah.
And the second one is all about the postures. So that means probably energy as well.
The second book's just our journey of how the yoga helped us. And there's a little few tips in there for people who do practice the yoga.
So where can audience find this if they're interested?
Amazon, Apple Books, the basic channels.
So there's physical and also hard copy and
the
soft?
e-book as well, yeah.
Okay.
There's e-book and physical book.
Is there an audio book coming? Because most people are lazy these days.
It's interesting because when they were doing the research for our second book, they were saying that audiobooks aren't as popular. And I was like, really? Because we actually wanted that to be an audiobook. I haven't got an audiobook on my cookbook, my other book, because there's so many recipes.
Yeah.
But there'll be another one coming.
Okay. Yeah. And what else you did apart from these two books? You said I don't know that language.
Neuro Emotional Technique.
Neuro Emotional Technique, neurons, emotions, and technique. What does that do?
So Neuro Emotional Technique it's based using kinesiology and Chinese medicine principles. And that's where we'll muscle test. You'll say, okay, I'm having problems with my girlfriend now.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to touch wood that. We should pick another story.
That seems quite natural.
I'm having troubles with something in my life, and then we'll either say it's called a personal declarative. So you'll say I'm okay with blah 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 blah, and you won't be okay with it. Your body will respond and say no, I'm not okay. Your muscle test will drop. The body's very congruent or incongruent, right? So it's basically testing for congruency, and so then we'll muscle test, and then we'll ask you a few questions, and then I'll say, okay, let's find out what organ this is in, and then I'll say, okay, it's in your liver, and let's now muscle test the emotions that around the liver. So there might be anger, resentment, galled, frustration, bothered.
So it's a science.
Yeah, it's a bit of a science. It was developed by a man called Dr. Scott Walker.
Okay.
He was a chiropractor, and he also studied homeopathy and acupuncture and a few other things as well, neuroscience. And he had a client that just kept coming to see him, and they kept subluxing back. It wasn't changing he'd do the adjustment in the spine, but it was just kept coming back. And then one day, as he was doing the adjustment, they started crying, and they just had this emotional release. And then she came back and she never had the problem in her neck or wherever it was again. And he was like, okay, what's this? He's like an Einstein, this guy. He's amazing. And so he just started to go into this exploration. And so he just started learning more about kinesiology and he's developed this incredible system. It's been around nearly 40 years now. It's very evidence-based. We've got a lot of research on it.
So there's good results?
Yeah, amazing. That's one of the best things that's...
That's where you are able to say that the body is holding the trauma.
Yeah.
Because you have evidence there.
Yeah. Okay. So that's probably one of the main techniques that I use. But then I use the process work psychotherapy as well, which is, like I said, is exercises that we use with the client to help extract.
So can I say it's normal coaching or therapy? No,
process work psychotherapy is very different to talk therapy. This is why I love it. As I said, remember I told you the pipe cleaner exercise? Yes. So we have the conscious neocortex, right? So we've got we don't really have three parts of the brain, but
Rowena,
to understand
you really need to dumb it down here.
Okay, I'm trying to.
Yeah.
So we don't really have three parts of the brain, but there's a concept, right?
Okay.
That we have three parts of the brain. And we have the forefront of the brain is the neocortex, the prefrontal cortex. That's our logical, rational thinking part of the brain.
Okay.
That's where we make our decisions, our maths, our logics. And so people go, oh, well, think my way out of things. But we don't, because we have a limbic part of the brain. And the limbic part of the brain is the emotional storehouse. So all of our memories and our emotions and our spirituality, our faith, all these parts are that part of the brain. And that part of the brain will always override the neocortex. So you know how when people say, I'm going to go on a diet tomorrow, and that diet never starts, or it starts and stops straight away, because they're not congruent with it. It's because the limbic part of the brain is still overriding. Or it could also be then the reptilian part of the brain, which is your fight or flight response that controls your breathing and your respiration and your reproduction and all that. So that's the fight or flight response, is that part of the brain. So those two other parts of the brain will pull you off, like whatever logical decision you make. And this is when people say, oh no, I'm fine. I've just pushed my problems down. I'm fine. No, you're not, because those other parts of the brain are still driving everything. Yeah. So that's what we do to try to extract what's really going on. That we can move forward from it. And process work psychotherapy uses the exercises, and there's movement. You might be talking to me and all of a sudden you're going like that with your hand. That's telling me something's gone. Your unconscious body is talking to me. So if we actually, what we call, amplify that, and you'll all of a sudden, you'll go, oh my God, it's like I'm swimming. I'm making that up. And all of a sudden you'll have something that's awareness that comes through, because you're not in here, you're in your body. Or like I said, with the drawing, so that's different ways to extract new awareness, so that we can change that old identity and move into that new identity. You know?
And you mentioned neuropathy? No, homeopathy.
Homeopathy, naturopathy, nutrition,
So these are all more body, food.
Yeah, homeopathy does do a lot of work with trauma. Homeopathy is one of the first medicines.
I got introduced to homeopathy in India. I heard about it, and I saw these small white little pills. Yeah. It was like taking a sugar crystal or something.
Yeah, it's hard. It's sometimes hard for people to get the concept of homeopathy, because it's a energetic imprint almost. Like they'll say put arsenic into a bottle, because there's the principle of like cures like. So if you say, and this is all they have provings, like Hahnemann, who developed homeopathy, they have provings. And so, if they give them the remedies, and a lot of these ancient practitioners will do a lot of provings on themselves for the poor things. But they have a proving, so that's when they start to, it's like observation over time. They start to prove that, hey, this remedy's for this and this remedy's for that. So, but what they do is there's a dilution. There's a dilution that happens. So you might have arsenic, and you might have it in a bottle, and then you pour all the arsenic out, and that tiny, tiny residue that's left in the bottle is what might be the that goes into the pill, and then they succuss it, and so they shake it, and then that imprint is enough, because we're energetic beings. We are energy, and this is we're very conditioned to not believe this, but the yogis understand this. The people that do Tai Chi understand this. It's the energy, and 𝗙𝗵𝘁𝗵 research and her book Molecules of Emotion, she talks a lot about the energy, and we're 99.9% energy. So these beautiful, subtle remedies are working on that energy field, and so they actually start to change.
Yeah.
And there's so many stories and case studies and, research that's actually out there on these incredible practices and how they're helping people with trauma and, physical manifestations of trauma, because even physical problems really are a manifestation of our minds, our thoughts, our beliefs, etc., etc.
So here you won the practitioner of... Sorry?
Who told you?
Practitioner of the year?
Practitioner of the year. Yeah, for Australian Traditional Medicine Society.
Could you please explain what that means, and what do you mean by the practitioner of the year? What did you do to get that?
I don't know. I was just being myself. So Australian Traditional Medicine Society, there are different as a registered practitioner. Or an accredited practitioner, you have to be under an association to be able to get insurance, and there's certain rules and guidelines and codes of ethics that you have to follow. Coaches have got their own free rein to do whatever,
so it's
but we
like
don't.
It's like a doctor.
The doctor's under 𝗏𝗏RA. Some practitioners are under 𝗏𝗏RA, and some of us aren't. But we're under an association, and so there's certain, and rules and ethics, and there's still rules and ethics that the government have said or whatever that we have to kind of abide by for safety for the client, at the end of the day. And so these associations accredit, chiropractors, naturopaths, osteos, Ayurvedic practitioners, meditation, everyone. And so they have every year they have an awards ceremony. And they have nominations. These nominations can come from your own clients or the general public that might have worked with you, or sometimes the nominations can come from, I don't know, someone in your own industry. Like I've nominated other people. And then from that they get together, I think this is how I'm imagining what happened, they get together in the board, and then they decide who's the finalists.
Nice.
And then they decide who's the winner.
Wow.
And this year I was the winner.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
As the practitioner of the year, let's say I'm not in Sydney. How can I reach to you? Or is this something you do only one-on-one coaching? Or let's say I have a students of 15 people. Okay, how can I use your services?
So I do one-on-one. I also do retreats. I also run workshops. Since my degree, I haven't been doing as many, but I'm coming back into that. Got a lot of plans next year. I'm also developing an online program and course as well at the same time right now, which has kind of been what I've been doing, but just now I'm formalizing it. Is that the word? Formalizing it. Why does that feel like a weird word right now? Anyway, formalizing it. So I do sometimes group stuff, and sometimes I do one-to-one. So you can reach me just through my website.
What's your website?
www.rowenajane with a Y.
With a Y, JAYNE.
.com. Or I'm on Instagram, rowenajane.au, or I'm on Facebook, same name. LinkedIn, all that stuff, TikTok, the platforms that we all seem to be a part of.
Yeah. So if there is an institution out there who would like for you to come and give insights or talk about real food, or talk about, let's say there's a school out there, it's a sensitive topic, sex abuse, but you need someone who that's the reason I'm asking. There's a lot of institutions out there, not just individuals. Individuals, yes, they come in their own way, but there is a group of people who also needs to probably, I don't know, get some support, I Yes.
Yeah. So I used to do, and I mean I still do. I have done a lot of work with the 𝗙𝗵𝘁𝗵𝗃𝗲. So I've done work with like there's the school, the teachers, you know, the primary school teachers and high school teachers that often have conferences where they'll come together and then they'll have people like me come through.
Yeah.
And then we'll run I've run sometimes mindfulness programs for them. Like with the police, we did yoga, and I also spoke with them about mindfulness and why those practices are important for them, especially when they're on the beat and they're, you know, all the challenges that they may have.
Yeah.
There's lots of different things that I've done on that level to help organisations support their employees as well. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's great work. You have done so many things.
Yeah.
If you have to choose only one thing, I know it's always challenging. You know, you did something for body, mind, you know, energy, kinesthetic, all these things. You know, there's so much you did, okay, in your own journey. But tomorrow, let's say in 2026, someone said, Rowena, yeah, you nailed in all these things, but you can reach only with one thing to 1 million people in 1 month. What would you do? What would you choose?
It's such a hard topic because you know why I believe in integrative, holistic practices. It isn't just one thing.
Yes, it is not one thing, but the one thing leads to everything. What is that one thing? It's all interconnected. It's all, like as you said, it's oneness, connected and all those things. But for me to get into the palace, I really need to open the door first.
It's so different for different people. That's the challenge. Some people, they need to start with their diet first. Some people need to start with their mindset. But I think, you know what, my biggest passion is the emotional work.
Okay, what's that relate to? When you say emotional work, is that the
it's mindset and
neuron
emotions.
emotional?
It's the mindset and the emotional work. Understanding your patterns of thinking, understanding your limiting beliefs, working through all those beliefs. Because if you change the emotional state, even just your emotional state, you know, some people are sitting in depression. Like, how can you actually get yourself out of that? So I think that's my biggest passion, is working with all that emotional mindset stuff, so that you can change what you focus on. You can change how you believe, what you believe about yourself.
Yeah.
You can change all of that, and then that will start to open you up.
Okay.
You know, but then I like to say, but if you eat good food, that'll also help with the
It's
neurotransmitters.
okay. We're not going there.
I know you're not going there.
I'm just looking at this as you're an artist.
I know.
You're an artist. Let's say you're a director.
Yeah.
And you directed 50 movies. Some of them are commercial success, made a lot of money. The other ones was social issue or message oriented, didn't make money but impacted a lot of people in real life. And when you look back, just the impact, what you're doing is just simply what I'm asking. But I think before we close the conversation, I just want to ask, sometimes I ask this, not all the times. If the genie or the divine energy comes and gives you 3 wishes, and within 24 hours, all 3 wishes will be granted. And you can't say, I want to change the world and all that.
That's too general.
Yeah, nothing general. It has to be measured. It has to have a... So what would you choose? 3 things.
One would be, I would have my wellness retreat centre, where particularly I work with women. I do work with men, but mainly women come and become bold, brave and beautiful. They boldly change their lives and they create a beautiful life for themselves and work on that self-doubt and low self-esteem that holds them back. I would have a centre where they can come and heal, and I would have a lot of other different practitioners that come in and work in that space. And because it's on land, they're able to be in the land, be in nature. There's a huge healing that happens in nature. That's number 1 wish. Number 2 wish. It's kind of the same wish, because I want that program to be out there. Not everyone's going to be able to come to that centre. So that's what I'm building right now, is a program where people can start those steps wherever I am all over the world, and to be able to run group workshops
So one is location based. The other one is kind of online, accessible to empower. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and the other one is, well, I want to get my other books done because I think that's another way. It's another medium to help people.
Okay.
Is to write books.
Nothing about money?
Money doesn't drive me, and I know people say, "Oh, but you have to have money," and I know that, and I get that. But I guess at the same time, if I have the money, I can help more people.
Yes.
So I want money for that reason. I'm not a material person. I don't need money just for like status. I don't need money for like, I'm simple.
Yeah.
I don't need a lot. I'm happy. I'm like the Indian little girl in the street, right? I don't need a lot to make myself happy. I'm happy within who I am because of the work I've done. But if I had more money come to me, I'd be able to build all those things that I'm telling you that I want. That's the only reason I really want that money, to help other people. And to be able to do philanthropic projects for people who don't have the understanding of how to build that money for themselves yet, or manifest that money for themselves yet, which is often people with trauma.
Yeah.
Because they don't believe in themselves and they don't know who they are yet. So if money came my way, that's
what's your relationship with money? Like when you ask yourself.
I love money and money loves me. Money is freedom. Money provides freedom for people to be able to do what they need to do. That's
okay.
That's it. I'm still working on mine.
I'm going to ask something here.
Oh no.
Which leads me to another thing. Your rest in peace stone. What's your...
Rowena had the courage to walk the path so that she could lead others to walk their own path and to remember who they were so they can then help the next person and the next person and the next person so that we can create the most beautiful, amazing world, heaven on earth.
Yeah. We need a bigger stone.
I've never been one for 1 or 2 words.
I realize that. So I'm reading. Need more space. But that's beautiful. So this is the time I need to now summarize everything we talked. And I'll see how best I can remember your journey. Because you're taking me to a lot of places in this short period of time. So you're that little kid born in Brisbane during floods and haven't experienced something a kid would normally experience. Seeing instead of love, you have seen fear. You didn't experience the safety and the security normally a kid would get so they can be free. But you overcome that by taking some courageous steps, even not knowing you went through that with your siblings. And then your biological father moves on and still gone through a little bit of ups and downs, but you continued. And suddenly, a divine energy, your next dad comes in and then first time gives this hope, safety, security, just buying an ice cream. And that's when the kid started to be herself and making fun and making faces in the car. And then, even though it wasn't easy, first time you felt the power of family. First time you felt a sense of belonging. And then after going through that, finally the bird gets the wings and wants to perform in arts and moves to Sydney. But before that, faced a lot of bullying, a lot of things which has made the young person to resent on a lot of things, but never gave up. Went and started a new journey, and also going through some of the things which has impacted in a different way, eating disorder. And then, but in the 10 years, you have experienced a different level of freedom. You started to find yourself. And you met people, you traveled, and you worked, and you performed well, and also you felt like you didn't perform well. But then again, you learned many lessons in the journey. And the key aspect is there was never a failure, it's always a feedback. And that took you to the next stage. And in that moment, when you're in the bed, that inner voice rejected the medical analysis. Two interns also would have learned something that night. But that inner voice, you said, this is something I need to listen to. And the next thing is you started going to yoga. And that somehow opened a completely different channel. That's where suddenly you left something behind you. You shed all the things which are no longer helping you. And in that journey, you started to explore a different life, going to Canada, going to Mexico, going to Hawaii. And then you end up in the most populous country on the planet with full of color, vibrancy, and then you start working for the elite, so-called elite, but you said they're nothing but human beings. And that's where you showed your confidence. And that's where you learned a lot about yourself, what you're capable of, because going to a new culture and able to adapt that culture and then be part of a local family there, it's not easy. Even the locals struggle to do that. And you manage that. And after 5 or just over 5 years, you come back and you need to do some courses, and then you had to live with your family. Wasn't an ideal situation, but you said this got to be done. You went through what needs to be, and then you finished. And then while going through all this, you had your share of relationship issues, all those things. But the one thing which you continuously did is helping others, giving, staying true to yourself, and being authentic, always being there, especially for women who need help, who are looking for help. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of times you would have done it for free, even though you're burning yourself in sometimes, but you continued to keep the light. Even the candle was burning, the light was continuously given. So here you are, experiencing something only people can dream of. But nothing has been easy, nothing has been given to you. Everything you worked for, and you're the black sheep, and you've been spat at. And coming from that, changing that spat into spear. Yeah, it's something courageous. And there's other sensitive things happen to you, but you're making sure that not for this generation, but for next generation. You're working for the next generation already and trying to break that intergenerational trauma sex abuse. And you understand the pain. A lot of things you shared today is so personal to me. And that's the reason you are our everyday hero. And thank you for your existence. And thank you to the universe for giving you all the courage and the strength for you to go through everything you have gone through. And it's been my absolute pleasure to have you on this podcast. And I wish you all the success, and I wish you the wishes you really looked for, especially the project, the location, and also online. And I hope you'll change thousands to millions in the coming years. Thank you. Thank you for listening, Chat with Loki. Follow and subscribe for more wisdom from Everyday Heroes.